Prvi idući projekt je LIFE ClimAct, koji će nam predstaviti znači, naša gošća iz Austrije, gospođa Petra Mautner, koja sudjeluje u provedbi ovog projekta i nešto će vam više reći o tome što rade kroz taj projekt i ćete postaviti neka pitanja, znači koje su iskustva u prijavi LIFE projekta i provedbi samog LIFE projekta.
Welcome from my side. Thanks for the introduction. Within the next about 20 minutes, I will give you a brief overview about the initiative Double Plus, which is a climate action campaign for low-income households. This is a project in the LIFE program of Government and Information Climate. Some basic facts. The project site is Tirol in Austria. The project period we started in October 2016, and the project will last until June 2020. The project is co-financed by the LIFE program, the government of Tirol, and Stadtwerke Wörgl, which is a small local energy supplier. All in all, we have about 1 million euros of budget. We have 5 Tyrolean partners, which I will talk about them a little bit later. And the heart of the project is we want to educate 60 voluntary energy and climate coaches, which will do more than 1,000 coachings in households of low income in whole Tyrol. Besides that, we want to do more than 40 workshops in German courses. And what our targets are, we want to reach more than 4,000 people in whole Tyrol. And we want to reach a CO2 saving of about 360,000 kilograms and more than 1 million kilowatt hours energy saving. Double Plus is part of the provincial energy strategy, Tirol 2050, which aimed at becoming as independent as possible of fossil fuels and to create a future worth living in for all Tyroleans. What means that is we want to save about 50% on energy, and we want to increase the share of renewable energy of about 30%. Who is our target group? In Tyrol, there live about 100,000 people which are at risk of poverty. The risk groups are long-term unemployed people, migrants, single parents, pensioners with the lowest pension rate. And they spend the majority of their income for energy and mobility. These are so-called energy poverty and mobility poverty. And therefore, they are often excluded from social participation and development because they lack financial and material resources. Okay, that's nothing new, but what is new within the initiative Double Plus? We want to have the direct contact to the target group, what means we directly go into the households for the coaching. We want to empower this group that they can participate on climate action campaign. It's the first project for the whole side of Tirol. And at the beginning we really thought the best thing is to educate people from the target group. But we have now about more than 40 coachings, energy and climate coaches in whole Tirol, and we are really happy that not all of them are directly from the target group, because it's not always that easy to handle them. And so we have a really mixed and diverse group of coachings, and that's really, really good for us. We have, I think, more than 10 languages they speak. And so we really can react on which needs the household has. So what we don't want within the initiative is we don't want to sacrifice them. These people know how to live an economically life, and they face financial difficulties every day. And we do not want to point with the finger at them and say, you have to save. You have to save energy. We want them. that they can see this as a win-win situation. It is good for them, and they can do something really good for them, for their life. They can save money and save energy. So this is always so good for us and for the whole community. So if they need less energy, they have more money at the end of the month. And this is good for us all, because that means less carbon emissions, which means this is climate protection. And so there are quite more, and this is why we named the initiative Double Plus. It's not the official LIFE name, but it's the name how we communicate this initiative, because it's good for me and it's good for the environment. So an overview about the targets and the reach of the initiative Double Plus. As I mentioned before, we want to educate more than 60 voluntary energy and climate coaches. As I mentioned, right now we are about in the middle of the project. We have about 40 educated energy and climate coaches. And the target is to reach 1,080 coached households. And right now we started at the beginning of 2018 with the coachings in households with low income. And right now we have about 300 contacts with households. Why I said contacts? Because some of the households contacted us, they want to do a coaching, and then we try to contact them and we can't reach them anymore. So that's a problem you will face with this target group. We have resources for 30 special coachings in households with low income. Why special coachings? Because there are some households who really who face difficult problems, who face big mold problems, who face quite big energy problems, really can't pay for bills and electricity bills and so on. And so we have resources to send experts and professionals into these households, because you always have to keep in mind that these energy and climate coaches are voluntarily doing this. They get a basic education, which means that it took about 6 days, so it's really a basic education. But our target is that they communicate on an eye level, and they do not have to do this very complex. We do not have to talk about technical stuff and so on. We have to communicate on a base level what is easy to implement, what things easy are to do in my home. That just means to let in fresh air from time to time. These are really basic things. Then what we are also doing we have the 40 workshops, Klimaschutz in Deutschkursen. These are workshops for German beginners. We have a really good cooperation with Tyrolean Service, Tyrolean Social Services, and they are responsible for the refugees' home in Tirol. Right now we almost have about 25 workshops, so that's really good. And the only problem with these workshops are the monitoring. It's a live project, so we always have to do the monitoring. And it is hard to do the monitoring because there are so many languages. So how to communicate with them? The German is not always that good that they really understand everything. So, and the other thing is there's quite a big change in their homes, in the refugees' home, so how to contact them afterwards. So this is, this is a big challenge, how to do the monitoring within these workshops. But now we are doing group discussion afterwards, and we are not having in these group discussions all of them who visited the workshops before, but it's going on really good right now. Then we have 7 seminars for a so-called train-the-trainer program, We want to train people from the energy sector, from consulting, German teacher, real estate industry, politicians, to talk about the problem of poverty energy, of energy poverty and mobility poverty, to that they really know the problem of the target group. We also have some publications. I have some folders with me. Just forgot it. This is more or less our, I can say, Bible. We have it in 5 languages. We have it in English, in German, in Farsi, in Arabic, and in Turkish. This brochure contains quite a lot of tips for energy efficiency, for what can I do in my home. But not only energy is the topic within this Bible. It is also nutrition, it's mobility, and so on. I brought some examples with me. If any of you is interested in this, just write me an email, call me, something like that. Yeah, throughout our cooperation and networks, we can spread posters and flyers in more than 25,000 households in all over Tirol. Yeah, I talked about the actions right now, so skip it. Well, how does our timetable look like? I know it's quite a lot on it, but just to give you a brief overview how this worked out. We started with the development of the curriculum. So what are the things our energy and climate coaches have to know when they go into the households? What are the things we really have to know, and what are the things they would be too much? So we started with energy, the topic of energy, and afterwards in the advanced training course, you see a little bit below, and training and mentoring program. It was once a month in 2018, so once a month there was further education for the climate coaches, and energy and climate coaches, with topics of nutrition, mobility, and so on. The recruitment of the energy and climate coaches was, we did a lot of PR, we did a lot of networking. The selection procedure was, at the beginning we thought we would have more contacts from people who would become, who like to become energy and climate coaches. At the end we said, okay, we are really happy if anyone contacts us, but now we have more than 40, so we're really happy and lucky. But it would be good if we could have more, because from the 40 energy and climate coaches, about 1/3 are really active, who contacts you if there is energy and climate coaching, who are here when there's a basic training. Yeah, so they're really active and engaged. Then about 1/3 is okay. Once a month is okay, but not more. Okay, it is voluntarily. So you always keep in mind it is spare time, it's free time for the people. So it is okay. Then we say they only came once a month, and because of the reason 2018 we also had the advanced training course once a month. We said, okay. I came to the training, or I'm doing a coaching. So that was a thing we didn't have in mind before. And about 1/3, they came to the basic education, and we've never seen them again. So yeah, it would be good we would have more of them. And at the beginning we were thinking about a starter kit. A starter kit means we want to give like a present to the households with low income, that they can start with the implementation of the tips the coach has left them in the household right now. That means we have a basic as a starter kit. I also have one with me Maybe in the break, if you're interested, you can have a look at it. It is a LED lamp in it, so we really can start with the implementation of small tips right after the coaching. And within the starter kit, you will be able to save 150 euros per year. So it's not quite big, it really is a basic. But you can save water, you can save energy because you change into LED and so on. Now I'd like to give you some impressions from the basic training. You see, we talked about mobility. We really did some calculations on how much energy can be saved if I change an electricity or something like, if I change a radio or something like that. We kind of see how much energy needs a radio. So it really was concentrating on basic stuff and was concentrating on really practical things. But we were also talking about climate justice, about the whole world, you can see, and yeah, it was a big group. And at the end, we had an ceremony, an award ceremony, which was attended by the deputy governor of the province of Tirol. And these are some of our climate coaches, for energy and climate coaches, because if a household contacts us and we can tell him or her, I don't know, Nicole will attend you, she will pass by and will do the coaching, then he or she can look at the homepage, who is Nicole, how does she look like, because you keep in mind that you will open their door, they will come into your flat, they will come into your house. And how does coaching look like? So very important is it is free of cost, it is independent, it's personalized, and it's on one level. So the topics already mentioned, it's energy, it's mobility, it's sustainable consumption, sustainable purchasing, and so on, and it always depends on the household. And now some photos from one of the pilot coachings. This is one household, and there's a refrigerator and a freezer combination, and they also have a freezer. And I don't know if you can see it, but the freezer is destroyed, and it was almost empty. So just to give them the small tip, a very simple one, switch off the freezer because you won't need it, it is almost empty. And you will save money and energy. Or they have a tumble dryer, and they always use this one and never use the clothes drying rack. So it's also a thing, you can save energy with this. So you see, these are really simple, easy things, measures you can implement at your home. Or the boiler and the hot water boiler, it was at the maximum, just to tell them you don't need it to have it on its maximum. It's enough to have it at about 60 degrees. But we already knew that we have to save energy because the electricity bill was too high. So they took off the light of the lamp, of the lightning. So this is just to show you, it's really about information. It's about information, how they can save money, that it's really working. Because LED lamps will not need that much electricity as you would be able to save when you turn back the heat at the boiler. And yeah, we had a mold problem as well, but this was a household we were really lucky with because the person who rented the flat was within the household, and he said, okay, he will keep in mind the mold problem. He will repair the window because the window was broken on one side. Yeah, so this was a really lucky household. just some things the target group, or problems and challenges the target group has to face with. There are not only the low income, it's also the problem of lack of knowledge, as I said before, and the language barriers. And so, as I mentioned at the very beginning, we are so lucky and so happy that we had such a great diversity of languages within our coaches, from Arabic to Farsi to Turkish to English to, really different languages. And so this is very good for us to reduce the barrier of the languages. If households have low income, it's very hard to get high efficient electricity devices. So there are very often inefficient devices, all partly broken and so on. The next step for us will be to, in Austria we call it Weißwarentausch, what means to change refrigerators, to change the white devices in your home, the washing machine, the refrigerator, and so on. And we want to build a fund for this, that households with low income can change something on it and do not need to buy the very old ones, the very inefficient devices, but can take better ones. And yeah, I think that's it. The partners, you see quite a lot of partners. At the beginning I mentioned we are only 5 partners. RBS is responsible for the monitoring. I'm from the Klimabündnis Tirol. We have the lead of this project. Community is the partner who was doing a similar project some years ago in a small part of Tirol. Caritas is our expert and in social things, questions, and Caritas has the direct contact to the target group. And Energie Tirol is our expert in all stuff and things about energy. We are co-funded by the LIFE program, the province of Tirol, and as I mentioned before, Stadtwerke Wörgl. And we are supported by quite a lot of partners. We try to have a big network because how to reach the households, how to reach the people who really need these coachings through our networks. This is the only way, or there are some other ways, but this is what's really working, is the direct contact to the social housing companies, to social services, and so on. Yeah, thanks for your attention.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Very often in the evaluation of LIFE projects, the ASME says, well, how you have to prove us how that the target group will really cooperate in such a project. How did you prove that in the proposal? What was the main argument about that?
I think the main argument was the network. We had partners from, as Caritas as one of the main partners, who's responsible for social, or who is the social expert and has direct contact to the target group. And this really is really good working with Caritas, and we have other networks with social housing companies, and this is also a very good contact because they have them in their flights, so they really have this contact, and they, or if you live in, or the people who suffer from low income, and they get the next bill and have to pay too much, so whom the first to contact? It's very often the social housing companies, the renters, so yeah.
Hvala vam na prekretnoj prezentaciji i na puno korisnih informacija. Mene zanima koliko vam je trebalo od ideje pa dok niste napravili projektni prijedlog i predali ga da bi imao financiranje od strane LIFE programa. Hvala.
I have to claim I wasn't involved in writing the proposal. I cannot really give an answer to that question. I know that we skipped the beginning. Basically, we should begin a little bit earlier, but this due to some personal things and problems, we skipped the beginning of about 4 months.
Hvala.
Welcome.